Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I still remember a couple of months ago when I visited Ma'am Asna and we were discussing this conclave, and I witnessed that. MashaAllah, it's a very good success. I would like to congratulate you on that. This is, I think, second or third time I joined the school, and every time I listen to new things being enrolled and new initiatives being done. I think this is one of the most active schools I've been to. So congrats to you, management, instructors, teachers. Thank you very much. It's hard to get new topics after, mashallah, very good speakers throughout the day. So I'll try to give it a twist. So I'm Mustafa Badawi. I lead the Cisco Networking Academy in Qatar. I've been working with the Cisco Networking Academy since 2009. I've managed academies in the region. I've also been an instructor trainer for Cisco Networking Academy. I have a strong technical background, and I shifted to education and training in 2009. So this is a picture from the 1980s, 90s. What do you notice in this picture? I know that teachers would recognize this, but some students would say, what is this? What's that? Okay, so a lot of the items in this picture are obsolete. Some students would not even recognize this. My son, a couple of days ago, was using a toy camera, the plain old toy camera, which has a lens in the back and lens in the front and the viewing eye in the back. And he used it the other way around. Okay? So this generation is totally unfamiliar with things we've grown up to. And in fact, I presented this slide around 10 years ago, and it still stands. In fact, there are more items in this slide which have been replaced by a mobile phone. Okay, so if you go back to this slide, a talkie-walkie, a camera, a flashlight, a GPS locator, an encyclopedia, the internet, it's all in our hands nowadays. And this futuristic-looking mobile phone has things which we might dream of, but in fact, in some cases, things might be included in our mobile phones which currently we're not able to comprehend. So, the Industrial Revolution, again, similar to what was discussed earlier, it took 68 years for airplanes to reach 50 million people. The Industrial Revolution was in phases, and each phase was quite long compared to what we're seeing today. The change today is much faster even for the companies who are making the change. So Cisco, as a global leader in the industry, we as Cisco employees struggle to keep up with the trends in technology and the changes in technology. So it's changing so fast, and it's more challenging every day. So today we have the fifth industrial revolution, where man and machine work together. So previously we used to talk about the Internet of Things. Internet of Things, that means everything is connected. Our car is connected. Our household appliances are connected. Nowadays, it's more about the man and machine interaction with artificial intelligence on the table. Disruption. Disruption was mentioned several times today. And by disruption doesn't have to be something bad. It can be good. We have witnessed disruption during our lifetime, and it's happening on a regular basis. Some examples. So who remembers Kodak? Kodak, we used to see Kodak everywhere. Nowadays, it's almost out of business. Similarly, Nokia. Nokia was the leading, my first phone was a Nokia, so we all know Nokia. Nowadays, children know Samsung, iPhone, and others. So it's all very fast and changing very fast. Those companies missed some opportunity to adopt change and embrace change, and consequently, they were out of business. Similarly, Netflix nowadays. We used to have VCRs, we used to have DVD players. Now, we only log into Netflix and watch any movie we want. We can pause it, watch later. In the old days, we could not pause a series. Once we missed it, we missed it. Now, it's available on demand. So Netflix has also revolutionized how video industry is going. Tesla. So Tesla is a car company, and they introduced electric cars. And it is said that by 2030, at least 80% of all cars would be electric cars. Just think of the businesses around petrol currently nowadays available. Gas stations, gas station employees, supply chain, etc. If by 2030 most cars are electric, those petrol stations and the employees and the supply chain and all the industry around that would go bankrupt. So the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not turbulence, it is to act with yesterday's logic. Okay, so whenever there's change, we cannot apply the rules of yesterday to the changes which are happening today. Also another quote by Darwin, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives, it is the one that is most adaptable to change. And adapting is definitely a human trait. Us as humans adapt better than all other species and definitely better than AI. So we need to be prepared for disruption. This is disruption in industry in general. Now we want to talk about disruption in education. So I said that it's quite hard to come up with new topics. This is why I will play the devil's advocate in terms of AI. Who thinks that AI will replace teachers? Raise of hands. I can't see any hands. Okay, so everyone thinks that AI will not be able to replace teachers. I am a strong and firm believer of that. I don't think that an AI principal would hand her student a bottle of water while they're on stage. A very act of human and humility. Okay, so I don't think that AI will be able to do those human touches and will not be able to interact with students on a social and human behavior. I remember when I was in, I think, 3rd, 4th grade, our English teacher used to come into classroom, we have a test, so she would use the chalkboard back then, and she would write the exam and write the answers, then act as if she's wiping off the answers and would hand us the papers. But in chalkboards, the writing still is showing. And even though this is not typically a test, but I personally enjoyed that act, and I felt that she's trying to help us. This is why I loved this English session, and I loved that teacher back then, and this is what helped me become better in English. So those touches, again, are not available by AI. But again, I will play the devil's advocate. What if, okay, we've seen how disruption industry got many professions out of the market. We've seen how things are now obsolete. I remember once I was listening to a radio show, and the host was asking questions. So anyone who calls, they ask them, do you know what an encyclopedia is? I was surprised that more than 50% of those who call, young people, do not know what an encyclopedia is. Okay, so things are going obsolete, professions are becoming obsolete. Why not the teaching industry? So we've seen how AI can generate a video of an instructor teaching the English vowels, and it looks a bit real. We've seen how AI can provide specific tutoring on a per-student basis, how AI can learn how a student is progressing and accordingly adjust to the student requirements and student special needs. So theoretically, if we think of science fiction, why not? If we have holograms, humanoids in the future, why not have a teacher who's a robot or a hologram or a virtual teacher online who can deliver same quality or even sometimes better than a regular teacher? So this is theoretically possible, even though it's science fiction. And again, I'm personally not in that favor. But theoretically, it can happen. As my colleagues mentioned, I believe that AI is a very useful tool nowadays. It will, I believe this, it will replace some of the instructor functions. It will replace some of the instructors who do not adapt and do not embrace this wave. So we need to be careful. We need to be visionary, and we need to think of how the future will look like. My friend Ahmed, Akil, he displayed a photo of DPS school in 25 years. So we saw the external image of DPS school. I wonder on the inside how the school would look like, how classrooms would be in 25 years from now. So again, Coursera, Udemy, Khan Academy, and many other tools which were talked about today are disrupting our way we teach and are changing the way we teach. And we discussed this briefly during the break. Students nowadays, and our colleague mentioned also that 80% of graduates are not employable. Students nowadays graduate from school or even university with skills which are not matching the industry, especially when it comes to technology. So by the time we graduate, the student's knowledge and expertise would be outdated. And the student will not have the needed hands-on experience. That's why it's very important to be visionary, especially for school management and school teachers. They have to be visionary and they have to adapt change and to incorporate that change into their classroom. Okay? One important thing is industry affiliations. So we notice this image here. So either get a degree or be proficient and get certified in a certain aspect. I would like to mention that recently, technology companies have adopted this maybe over 10 years ago, which is called skills-based employment. So big companies like Amazon, Google, Cisco, etc., their job requirements does not necessarily include a university degree. Okay, this is what we call skills-based employment. And recently, I think around 5 months ago, the White House came up with a framework for this skills-based employment. So this is also accepted in government job positions. So if you know Python, you're skilled in Python, you have experience in Python, even though you do not have a school degree or a university degree, you're accepted to this job. This is how we need to think. This is how we need to think for the future. If the school does not embrace this and does not meet the industry at some point, definitely industry is much faster. And I told you that even as employees of a technology company, we struggle keeping pace with the fast change in technology. So schools have a much harder job to do, and they need to incorporate technology. They need to incorporate new methods of teaching. They need to incorporate the hands-on part of teaching, especially for technology, engineering, etc. At some point in history, there was kind of a decoupling between education and the practical world. I know that scientists back in the days used to experiment and come up with the rules and the mathematic formulas, etc. So those formulas are the result of experiments. Nowadays, we're doing it the opposite way around. Nowadays, we're studying theory and then struggling to see how this relates to real life. So we need to go back to the fact that practical hands-on is the way to go, especially for scientific knowledge. So there's a huge skills gap. 52% of technology managers report a skills gap within their departments. 48% feel the impact of the gap is more apparent now than a year ago. So by the time the student graduates, the knowledge they earned at the university or the school is already obsolete. Unless the school adopts this change and adopts new technology, their graduates will be obsolete. This brings me to talk about the Cisco Networking Academy, which I lead in Qatar. Cisco Networking Academy was established in 1997, 26 years ago. And the purpose of this academy is exactly to bridge this skills gap. So what we do at Cisco Academy, we develop content and material which are relatively new and based on industry changes and trends, and offer those courses freely as a CSR activity to schools and universities to use them as part of their teaching process. Again, Cisco noticed this skills gap back then, 1997, and they initially, I will just mention how the Cisco Academy started. So in 1997, Cisco donated some equipment to a university, okay, for the purpose of the students using that equipment inside labs. After a couple of months, they went back to check how the teachers are doing in terms of teaching those courses, and they noticed that the equipment was not much used because the teachers did not have the needed knowledge to use that equipment, they were not motivated to use it, etc. So they came up with this idea to create technology curricula and provide it to universities so that the graduates, when they graduate, they have the needed skills to go directly onto the market. The Academy program is available in 190 countries, over 190 countries. Over the past 26 years, we have graduated 24 million students globally, and we have around 12,000 institutions adopting this program, DPS being one of them, one of the leading academies in Qatar as well. On this platform, we offer over 50 courses in different aspects of technology. It's not, so even though it's called Cisco Networking Academy, it's not only Cisco, and it's not only networking. We offer different sectors of technology, and we provide certification for students on those technologies as well. So we partner with companies like the Python Institute, the Linux Professional Institute, OpenEDG, and we have those courses in our platform as well. So the main topics are cybersecurity, networking, AI and data science, programming, information technology, digital literacy, and our Cisco Packet Tracer simulator. We have an introductory track, which is made of courses around 6 hours each, and those are introductory courses. Recently, we have introduced an AI track. This has been there for around 6 months now, AI and data science track, where we have introductory AI courses suitable for students of young age. In addition to the intermediate and advanced track, where we go into the details of cybersecurity, programming, information technology, etc. In addition to technology courses, we also have the section related to professional skills. So we believe in what we call the T-shaped professional, where the student has the needed vertical knowledge of their specialization, and they also need the horizontal knowledge of soft skills, of language, of other technologies, etc. This is an example of one of the tracks. In terms of networking, the student can start with entry-level courses, as I mentioned, and progress through additional courses until they reach the associate or professional level. This is, again, aligned with the industry. I have taught CCNA for over 15 years now, and back in the days, the curriculum was much different from what we have now. In our curriculum nowadays, we have automation, we have AI in networking. So you notice that the courses are being developed to match the requirements of the industry. Again, another track for cybersecurity, another track for programming, and I will conclude by that. This is my contact card if you wish to get in touch. Finally, I would a word of advice. We need to be kind. We need to smile always. And we need to be good to each other. AI will never be able to do that, okay? And we need to teach our students from young age the ethical and proper use of technology. There are a lot of changes worldwide. Unfortunately, those creating the technology are pushing for technology to be used, and sometimes in a wrong manner, because, again, the motive is mostly financial. Okay, our colleague mentioned that if you are in education, you have to keep the money aside. Unfortunately, AI tools are driven by companies who are driven by money. So we need to use that cautiously and be kind. Thank you very much.